As men, especially as doctors, sometimes we hyper-focus on our career, neglecting other facets of our lives. But that is about to change. This is Dads Before Doctors. Some physicians claim their family is their top priority, but their lives tell a very different story. We'll help each other become family men who are doctors rather than doctors who have families. If it's health, wealth and legacy, emotional well-being, parenting, professional goals, or marriage, we're talking about it. Thanks for listening, and make sure to subscribe. This is Dads Before Doctors, and this is your host, Adam Broussard, MD.
Welcome back to Dads Before Doctors podcast. I'm Adam Broussard. I want to talk a little bit about work-life balance. Work-life balance seems to be the big buzzword recently. But what does that mean to you? I envision the scales of justice with work on one side and everything else on the other side. Do you really want your work to equal everything else in your life? I don't know that true work-life balance really exists. Nor am I convinced that this is what we really want. I coached one physician who was worried because she didn't enjoy playing with her kids. But honestly, as an adult, you can only enjoy playing with dinosaurs and Legos so much and so often. I don't know that you're actually supposed to enjoy the actual activity. You enjoy the time that you're choosing to spend with your kids and the relationship that you're building with your children. One of my friend's moms straight up told her when she had kids that she doesn't really like babies. She's happy to do all the grandmotherly things and watch the kids whenever needed. But she said she's putting in the time so that when the kids are older, she can take them to do things that she's more interested. It's a perfect example of letting yourself be true to yourself and knowing why you're doing things. You can look at this and why you eat a certain way, why you choose to go work out. Do you really enjoy eating the same boiled chicken every day? Or working out 2 or 3 hours a day when you first start? Or is it because you want to be healthy and you want to be vibrant for your kids in the future? Along the way, you may begin to enjoy, the exercise that you started doing. You may even start to enjoy cooking and coming up with more other ideas to cook healthy and stay fit and lean for your future. I think different seasons of life come with different requirements of how you choose to balance or focus on your priorities. Balance in all things can end up producing mediocrity. During med school and residency, you buckled down and you focused on learning everything that you needed to during med school, and then when you picked your specialty, you went on to focus on your specialty and potentially subspecialty so that you could be the best doctor that you could be. Because of that, your relationships may have suffered. You may not have kept the routines of healthy eating and exercise that you had previously. You probably weren't as fit as you were in college and high school, but you knew the sacrifices that you were making so that you could be the best doctor that you could. The idea is that you need to balance and work on balancing the other things in your life so that you don't completely ignore them. If you completely ignore your spouse or your children when you finish residency, med school, whatever difficult time in your job, they might not be there to support you at the end. If you ignore your health, it might not be there when you do have the time to enjoy the income that you've produced and your retirement. You probably know that classmate or co-resident that just kind of skidded by. They didn't really focus on medicine. They were too busy going out every weekend or every weekday for that matter. And that's probably not who you refer your patients to now. You probably know they're not the best. And you being the great doctor you are, you want to send your patients to the best. In the same respect, there's different seasons in life. And of course, your life changes along the way. You get married, you have kids, You retire and your priorities change and your focus shifts. In my own life, when my son was born, we were living about 12 hours away from our closest family. I had a job opportunity closer to home, and I was going to be able to spend a little bit more time at home with my young child and my wife and be closer to family. I absolutely loved the people I was working with. I enjoyed the work. I enjoyed working with the residents and the fellows. I was the program director of our fellowship at the time, but priorities shifted. And while I still enjoy those activities and I'm in touch with all of my friends back there, at the time, having more time with my young family and being closer to family was important to me. Like I said earlier, I don't think work-life balance, when you picture, that scale of 50% of your time, energy, however you want to determine your work-life balance, is going to work and 50% of it is going to everything else. Nor do I really see it as, 20% going to your family time, 20% to work, 20% to health, 20% to wealth, 20% to your own personal care or development. I think you have to, figure out what personally you want and understand that some things will have less priority, but you still have to nurture those lower priorities and give it the time that it deserves so that in the future you don't end up losing those completely. Like I said before, you don't want to spend 100 hours at work and never see your kids, never see your wife. And when you do decide to cut back, they're not there for you anymore. You've lost out on that relationship with your kids and they don't want to talk to you, hang out with you. They, want to hang out with their friends. Or your wife has other plans. You've decided to retire and she's got a life without you. And if she's even still there, if you don't nurture that relationship, you may have headed for divorce long ago. You need to have that counterbalance of whatever your priority is at the time, that you never go so far away that you can't find your way back, or you don't stay so long that there's nothing waiting for you when you return. Something I learned from the book The One Thing, which is an excellent read. Your personal life takes a much larger counterbalance than some of your work time. You may, have a big project at work that you can focus on for weeks at a time and kind of ignore some of the small stuff, or an acutely ill patient that needs your attention at this moment while ignoring the other patients on your service. But when you've stabilized them, you go back and check on your other patients and make sure that they're tucked in for the day before you leave. Or you might be studying for your boards and kind of let some of the other journal articles that you might have otherwise read go by the wayside because you need to prioritize that you have to pass your boards. Your personal life isn't so forgiving. You need to be sure that you always keep, one foot in the door with those other relationships and activities. I mean, even with exercise, think about that week vacation that you took, that you just kind of laid on the beach and watched the sun set and had some cocktails, whatever. And then you come back and try to hit the gym again. And just remember how hard that was and how out of shape you feel just that 1 week away. The same thing goes for your relationships with your family and friends. I've heard described that work is you juggling several rubber balls. If you happen to drop one of those because it's not the priority, it's going to bounce back. But with life, it's glass balls that you're juggling, and if you happen to drop one, they shatter. I think the biggest issue is being clear on what your priority is. The priority really is just one thing. And if it really is a priority to you, there doesn't have to be balance. Once you're clear on your priorities and you act on it, then there's no reason to be out of balance. In truth, being out of balance is when you mix up your priorities and you focus on something that's not truly a priority to you. These are some of my random thoughts on work-life balance. What are your thoughts? Feel free to contact me at adam@dadsbefore.doctors.com or join our community on Facebook, Dads Before Doctors Facebook group. As always, if you want to continue this journey with us, subscribe in your podcast player. Please leave us a 5-star review and share this with other dads before doctors who you think would enjoy the podcast, or joining the community of other like-minded physicians.
You've been listening to the Dads Before Doctors podcast. Family men who are doctors rather than doctors who have families. In an evolving and ever fast-paced world, we cannot lose sight of our real priorities. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had fun. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And tell a friend about the show. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from the show. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit the website at dadsbeforedoctors.com. Questions, comments, suggestions? Email adam@dadsbeforedoctors.com. And find us on Facebook and Instagram at Dads Before Doctors. Remember, the host of this show is not your doctor, your coach, or your financial advisor. This show is strictly for entertainment. Till next time, this is Dads Before Doctors, signing off.